Welcome back, everybody, to more Final Fantasy VI. And oh, look, out in the distance, there's an old friend. The one Esper that I have not been able to get to my side yet, well, it's time. And he's actually one of the Espers that I'm here in Narshe to come and get. And of course, happy Thursday, everybody. I hope everybody here is having a good week so far. We're almost there. The weekend is just around the corner. So thankfully, everybody's having a good week. For me, it's just been busy because we're getting back to a regular schedule, and I've had lots of uploads to catch up on. Thankfully, though, I'm caught up. All I need to do is wrap up this week, and then we're good. And now it's time for us to actually face Tritalk. The Esper that has been kind of the cause of a lot of the events of this game. It's finally time for us to face off against him. So let's go ahead and do it. We have a bunch of new abilities that he can actually take on. But he will actually be a very valuable Esper, at least to me, especially when we come across later enemies that have elemental weaknesses, because this guy teaches all of the 3 variants. So Fire 3, Ice 3, and Bolt 3, all at once. Granted, not in a fast way, but we'll make it work. There we go. Oh, I just got healed, so I'm happy about that. And of course, unfortunately, I still kind of sound like I'm recovering from the virus still. I'm pretty much over it. I've still got a lot of congestion and all that crap that needs to go away. Here we go. You'd best be frozen. Oh, this debuff, I hate it, and I think it actually happened in the last part too, and I didn't really discuss it. You'd best be frozen is a pain in the butt, because it's basically you have lost control of that character permanently throughout this battle. The only thing that cancels it out is ending the battle. Like with Stone, you can still use an item to restore them. With Zombie, you can still do that. You'd best be frozen. I've never been able to find any kind of a counter for that. But thankfully, it didn't show up again. So there you go. You humans freed me from that prison of ice. You possess magicite. Who are you? I sense war and destruction. Could that stupid war possibly have lasted 1,000 years? Nope. I can tell you that you want to put a stop to the madness. Let's see if you are worthy. Alright, and with that we get the Esper, or the Magicite, for Tritalk. And with that we also get an easy access. Well, I mean, we already had access to Fire 3 because Phoenix teaches it too. But now we have access to Ice 3 and Bolt 3. You can learn all 3 of them at once, or if somebody's got Phoenix beforehand, you're just learning 2 spells. But 2 spells is better than nothing. Now, like you just saw, a cliff opened up and it allowed us to go into a new section in Narshe. So there you go. There's Tritalk. This is actually leading into the next party member that we need to go get. Oh no, I just fell through the hole. Well, that didn't work out very well. But thankfully, we got a chest, so I'm okay with it. So let's see. While we're making our way through the dungeon, is there anything major that I need to take care of? Because usually while we're making our way through dungeons is when I like to point out what's going up on the channel this week, or any business that needs to be done. The major business that I can say is, unfortunately, we missed Geek News last week. It is going up tomorrow night at 8 p.m., so that'll be the first episode of Geek News at our new time slot, which will be Friday nights at 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So if you guys want to join us, you're more than welcome to, as we discuss the stories of the week. And some of those stories are escaping me at the moment, but you guys will see that soon enough. With some of the let's see. Let me see if I can actually drag up a couple of the stories we're considering. We did get a bunch of people asking for our coverage of our favorite Super Bowl trailers and commercials, so we'll probably be talking about that. Listener actually suggested that we talk about the fact Psychonauts 2 has a new publisher. It is not Double Fine anymore. Let's see. We also are going to be approaching some subjects that came up last week, but unfortunately we weren't able to meet. So there's going to be plenty for us to talk about, and also the announcement that a new Castlevania series on Netflix will be showing up sometime this year. And people have already been asking me like what my thoughts are on it. I don't know what to think because this is not the first time I've heard of a Castlevania TV series. So if they make it work, then great, I'll watch it. Especially with the only thing I'm concerned about is that some outlets are actually reporting it's going to be like super rated R. So we'll see how well that works out. But I will watch it because it's Castlevania, and I would very much like to see what they do with the property. With that being said, like I said, this is going to be at our new time slot from here on in at Friday nights, 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, so you guys can join us there. As far as other videos that have come out this week that you need to be watching, there's plenty of Drak tries. I'm officially caught up on all the games that were coming out since probably late January. And this week in particular, we had 3 Drak tries go up. One for Double Dragon 4, one for Resident Evil 7. I finally got around to that when listeners were asking for it. Oh, something's in the eye. And we actually get a Magicite from this little skull, which is the Magicite Terato. Oh, and what's going on here? And also the other one is released yesterday. It's the Drak Tries for Candleman. I recommend you guys check that out. It's a humble little indie platformer that was actually really fun to go play through. Alright, so we are facing off against a Yeti. Now, in particular, we actually needed Mog for this because if you remember, when we got him back in last episode, he said that he was his boss. So we need to make sure to take care of the Yeti, and then Mog will do the rest for us. But obviously, this Yeti is very powerful, as you can tell. So yeah, we have all those tries, and oh, obviously Tale of Drakfu and Dungeons of Drakfu is back this week. And we are still up to speed with God of War and Final Fantasy, although today's videos are probably going to go out a little late. Yeah, this is today's Final Fantasy, and unfortunately I'm running late on getting things recorded. Oh, and all you got to do is go over and talk to him, and Mog will do the rest. I'm the boss, Cooper! You're going to join us, Cooper! Okay, well. And here's our introduction. Admirer of bone carvings, as strong as a Gygus, a Yeti pal with muscle. Not much to say. And welcome everybody to Umaro. Now, Umaro is pretty much the equivalent of like a berserker. He really, when he fights on his own. So, oh, me Umaro. Yes, boss. Me join you. Aw. Umaro, no slouching now, Cooper! Aw, that's cute. So now we have a brand new party member. Oh, me wait for you in big airship. So, like, when you have him in a party, basically you have 3 party members, because he will do his own actions. That's something to keep in mind with when you have Umaro. He's very powerful, but he is not controllable at all. I think there's a relic that eventually you can maybe control him if you have Mog in your party, I think. But that's it. And even then, he doesn't have too many commands that you can utilize. The other thing that I should probably advertise, because it came out last week, was the much anticipated Let's Play of Diablo, The Darkening of Tristram. So we are going to be going through all 3 Diablo games. It's just unfortunately, you can't really play Diablo 1 on current day PCs. It doesn't work that well, and unfortunately I don't have a PlayStation copy. So, and I don't want to pay $300 for one. So instead we use the Darkening of Tristram to kind of symbolize Diablo 1, and then I will then march off to Diablo 2, which would be a blind playthrough. I've played a little bit here and there, but I've kept myself fairly in the dark with Diablo 2, and I figured it's time. I actually need to make my way through the game. and then we'll go through Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls. So you guys have plenty to look forward to there. And our next destination for this video is actually for the last party member that we can get in the game. Unfortunately, though, it's kind of hard to trigger, and I actually can tell you, I thought I was on the right island when I did this. I am not. You actually have to go to a different island and then meet with a very unique monster in order to get him. Him, her, it. People will recognize this character if you watch my Final Fantasy V playthrough, because he's finally here. So let's see. Aside from that, we had the Darkening of Tristram. Also, last week, in case you guys didn't see, I started up Drak Vlogs again with Season 2 of Voltron Legendary Defender. That will be back tomorrow as well for my opinions on the next 2 episodes in the season. And I think that's pretty much it, because like we have a bunch of Drak tries, which is eventually going to lead into a couple of reviews starting next week. That I will finally get to and give you guys my opinions. It's just unfortunate. This virus basically threw off my entire schedule, and now I'm running late again. But we're going to fix that as quick as we can. Now, people have also noticed that I still have not put up the top 5s and the top 10s. Yeah, I was in the middle of recording those when I got the virus. So they're written out, and I'm recording the voiceover for them. So they'll probably be a little late, but we will get them up so you guys can enjoy it. I know it's February, and I know that's usually not when people want to see this stuff, especially since it's top 5 best games of 2016, since that's more of a January thing. But we're still going to get it out because I've already put in all that work. So I'll give you guys that. And here is the monster that we actually need to come across, the Zone Eater. And I'm just going to sit here and do nothing because really the goal here is for the Zone Eater to eat me. Yes, the next dungeon we're going into is this guy's belly. We're going back into Jabu Jabu's belly. No, not Jabu Jabu, the Zone Eater's belly. And this is basically all you do. You wait until he does his ability Engulf, and then he throws you into his belly. We have one more. After that, we can go and get our party member. I always found this interesting that, like, you literally, when you've been trained in this game to take care of any enemy that comes your way, to wait and have them destroy you is almost like saying, I want a game over. But no, not in this case. You can technically leave the Zone Eater anytime you want, because that column of light right there is the exit. But, well, we went to all this effort. We might as well just continue on. Okay. So this is actually a really complicated dungeon, and while we're making our way through here, I'm just trying to think of any other business that needs to be taken care of. Oh, so I did actually need to address one thing. So people actually did ask me, so if you're going to do a tries on a game, in particular, I did one for Kingdom Hearts 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue, and I actually said in the video, I will not review this. Then what was the point of doing the tries? I'd already gotten some requests asking me to consider doing at least a try for the video, so I did. But, well, frankly, other ideas kind of came, and it really didn't feel right to fully review Kingdom Hearts 2.8 and not have done the series or anything like that. So, like, I actually decided, you want to know what would be funner? To try and cover Kingdom Hearts on the channel, which, well, suffice to say, is actually a good idea. Kingdom Hearts is a popular franchise, and I already had at least one person that I knew that wanted to be part of that. So, guess what? I'm not saying it's going to be right away, but in the next little bit, we will be doing a Let's Play for Kingdom Hearts, and we're going to go through the games that are available. In particular, we're actually going to do the PS4 re-releases of 1.5 and 2.5. So Kingdom Hearts Final Mix will probably be the first one, and then we're just going to go through the games. The only ones that I'm concerned about are the 2 DS games that, well, you can't really capture footage for a DS unless you want to use an emulator. So already, that's my big question right now is, do we cover those games? because I'm not going to cover them in the way that the 1.5 and 2.5 did, which is just basically sum up their stories into cutscenes. I mean, what do I even call that? Movie time with Drak? Yeah, that's not necessarily fun. So what we're gonna do is I'm actually gonna leave it up to you guys if you want us to cover the two games that are on the DS, which are 358 over 2 days and recoded or coded. Basically, coded is just another kind of going through the first game's assets, and 358 over 2 days is covering Roxas's time in the organization before Kingdom Hearts 2. I'll leave that up to you guys if you guys want us to actually cover those games, and we'll figure out a way to be able to do it. But right now, the plan is to go through Kingdom Hearts Final Mix, Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix, Birth by Sleep Final Mix, and then Dream Drop Distance. We are going to be doing that one as well, and we'll probably do full-on coverage of Birth by Sleep 0.2, A Fragmentary Passage, everything basically leading up into Kingdom Hearts 3. And then I will probably... I'm not officially set into this, but Kingdom Hearts 3 might get a review. I don't know. It doesn't feel right to do it with 2.8 because, again, there's a movie attached, and then there's this tiny little segment of new content that people haven't seen, and then there's a remake of a 3DS game on PS4 graphics. Okay. But Kingdom Hearts 3 would be a brand new thing. So, with that in mind, that's kind of my thoughts on the matter, but that's why I'm not doing a 2.8 review. The other thing, too, that people have already asked, like, is there actually going to be another Drak Tries where you aren't going to do a review? Well, that's kind of the open-endedness of Drak Tries, is that I don't necessarily need to do a review if I don't like the game right when I'm trying it. Kind of like what happened with No Man's Sky. I will probably just say, look, this game has not wowed me. This game has not engaged me enough to want to review it. So, no, I'm taking it off the list. It allows me to be able to do that. And thus not have to, you know, like, horribly push myself through hours of content when I'm not going to enjoy it. Now, the other thing I also want to cover with that is, so I added a bunch of tries onto here via subscriber and listener requests of the podcast. So, are they going to get reviews? Well, Kingdom Hearts 2.8 obviously isn't. I've already said it won't. And then the next one that I had was Double Dragon 4. Somebody let me know of that. And Resident Evil 7. As well as Candleman. And I've already said in those that they would get reviews. So you can expect those in the next little bit, although I'm kind of wary about how I'm going to do Resident Evil 7's review because, wow, Capcom, you did a good job. So much so that, like, I've been able to play your games. This is the first time I've actually dreaded playing one of the Resident Evil games because it just hits all the right buttons for me horror-wise. It really just... it's almost... I don't want to say it's a not fun experience because, well, there is an extent of fun. It's good gameplay. But at the same time, it's I have no problem admitting this. It's freaking scary to me. So... we'll see how that works out, and if I can't do it, I can't do it, but right now the plan is I will. I will play through a little bit, and even if I can't beat the game, I will play through as much of it as I can before I give a final review. But I can already tell you, I'm given how much I've actually played of the game, it's getting fairly good reception from me. And here's our last guy. Shrouded in odd clothing, is this a man? A woman? Or should we ask? So if people remember from Final Fantasy V, we had a boss fight with a guy named Go-Go. He's the guy who gave us the Mime job class. Go-Go comes back in Final Fantasy VI. I am Go-Go, master of the Simulacrum. I have no idea what voice to give him, but we're just gonna go with it. My miming skills will astonish you. Yes, I have been idle for too long. If I deem you worthy, I'll mime your actions in battle. Okay. But first you must tell me what you're doing here. And then we go through a storytelling mode while my phone is buzzing on the desk. What an unusual tale. Okay. But I sense that you're trying to help make things right again. This should be fun. When do we leave? I'm not really worried about the dialogue because, honestly, Go-Go has no more dialogue. That's the sad part, is like Go-Go doesn't have any more dialogue aside from this. But now we have every single party member you can get in the game. I should preface that with, to my knowledge, I mean, you can Game Shark General Leo in, but I don't think there's any other major party members that you can go and get. So we have a full party. Now comes the difficult part of wrapping up all the loose ends, getting all the other necessary endgame items, and then finally confronting Kefka, which, sad to say, is not going to happen this video. We still have quite a few things left to do out in the world before we take on Kefka, but we are actually to a point where we have maybe a few other dungeons left to go, and then a couple of other little Easter eggs that I actually want to cover in the game, which will be happening not in this recording, but in a future one, where we're going to cover some additional story regarding Ga and regarding Shadow. So people can rejoice, because I've already had enough people ask you, are you going to do the Shadow stuff? Yes. Yes, I've said numerous times in this playthrough, I'm going to do it. So we are going to do it. And now we are back at the Opera House, where people might wonder why we're coming back here, but you'll find out in a second, because here's the impresario. A dragon is sitting smack in the middle of the stage! Dragon, you say? Well, good thing we're dragon slayers, right? Let's go ahead and take care of this dragon, which we actually do need to take care of. So go ahead. Yeah, don't press the wrong switch, or, yep, I get it. This puts us right onto the stage, and here is our dragon. So, it's time for us to face the Dargon. Enter the Dargon. And here is the Dirt Dragon, which should be really, really easy, because even though I'm super powerful at this point, Banish Doom is just so easy to handle these fights. Okay, so Doom. There's an audience in the background. You just cheated! I don't care. I really don't. And bye-bye, Dirt Dragon. There's yet another dragon off the list. I'm sorry if I'm coughing in everybody's faces, but yeah, I'm still working on this. But hey, I got a Magus Rod out of it, so that's great. So now that we have yet another dragon down, we are down to 5 dragons left. Looks like we're going to have to save the day once again. Woohoo! That's what we do. That's what we do. And now off to the next major piece of errand or endgame errands that we need to take care of. I'm trying to think, is there any other things that I need to bring up to speed for you guys? I think we're good, because yep, we're gonna have the first we're gonna have one of the first reviews coming out next week. We still have a tries next week, because For Honor comes out literally on Valentine's Day. That still doesn't make sense to me, by the way. This big combat game you're putting out on Valentine's Day when we're supposed to love each other. We're supposed to find our Valentines and you know, have a good time. Well, I guess some people have a good time bashing each other's heads in, I guess. Yes, For Honor is going to get a try, and then also a review. As well as Horizon Zero Dawn is also set for it in February. Ooh, and now we have the Magicite Pallador. This is actually an important one because it teaches Haste 2 and Slow 2. I really just want Haste 2 because it's basically a... if people have played later games, it's Hastasia. It's haste on every single party member at once. And that's really helpful. All right, so off to the next errand that we need to take care of, and I believe this one was kind of difficult because people might remember when we went to South Vigaro, we talked to Duncan's wife and found out that Duncan is alive and waiting at his house for Sabin, we're presuming. And unfortunately, you need to find him again. But you need to have Sabin in your party, and that actually gives him the final blitz. I wanted to at least show it, even though we aren't necessarily going to be using it, but that's okay. But that's going to go ahead and do it for this week. So when we get back, we will find Duncan, and we will give Sabin his final blitz, and we will continue on in the endgame dungeons for Final Fantasy VI.